Bloober was making that Silent Hill 2 remake, they were also developing an original game alongside it, using the same engine. This is Cronos: The New Dawn, a sci-fi game with very similar gameplay, but very different story and setting. Though it also clearly takes influence from a lot of modern horror games in general, and I think they put together a pretty fun game, actually. We follow almost like a Terminator-type character, this time-traveling scientific but militaristic scout, sent back to 1980s Poland to discover the source of this weird biomass flesh disease that engulfed the entire world. You're working for a mysterious organization called The Collective, or The Vocation, or something like that. You don't ever really know what their goals actually are, you just kind of have this hazy idea of what you're supposed to be doing, and supposedly that's going to be saving humanity. You are known only as the Traveler, and you wake up with no memory, no personality, no nothing in that noggin. Each Traveler will awaken from their pod when the previous Traveler dies, so you have to find the dead bodies of the previous Travelers, pick up the information that they left behind, and try to finish what they started.
Such is our calling.
Being a Bloober Team game, I was also pretty pessimistic about this game as well as the Silent Hill 2 remake. You know, they just have a history of not really being good at writing, and I don't know, all I saw from this game was this cutscene that the acting was kind of bad, the writing wasn't good, and all the rest of the gameplay I saw, it just kind of looked like a Dead Space ripoff, so I was ready just to write this game off entirely. But then in my feed landing in front of me was a Noah Caldwell video, and I was like, oh my god, that's the Highways guy from Chuck E. Cheese. That guy makes roads the most fascinating thing in the universe, and I watched the first 5 minutes of it. I was like, this actually sounds really cool. What the hell? So I hit pause on it. I'm like, maybe I should play this. Maybe I should give it a shot. You know, it does look like the modern over-the-shoulder kind of horror game. I do love those sorts of games. Maybe I'll like it. So I decided to take a risk with it. I picked it up, wasn't really expecting much, and I was actually really surprised. I found this game really freaking fun, and the story was quite a bit better than I was expecting. Now, it's not like an amazing game. It's certainly not as good as a lot of the games that inspired it. And yeah, there is a lot to criticize with the acting and writing and stuff, but it was surprisingly compelling. Compelling as helling, my dude. The story was grabbing and pulling me in by the end of it, and the gameplay is actually still really freaking fun if you like games like RE2 Remake. And now with all that on the table, why don't I take you through what a new game looks like.
Welcome, Traveler MD3576.
You wake up to this, like, basic cognition test, just trying to get the gears greasing, get the engine started again. If it was ever started to begin with, you don't know if you used to be somebody, you don't know if you're just a machine built for this, but there's clearly some sort of human memory in you in some capacity, and that's actually what the goal is to find surviving humans and literally extract their memories out of their brain.
What are you doing? Preserving.
A lot of the characters aren't exactly very well acted, but the main character, I really love the voice.
Triangulating the fallen predecessor's last known location. You called for Edvard. I am here to find him.
I don't know how this actress got her voice to do that, but it sounds so, not just like effectively hollow, but almost like there is something underneath.
The vocation must go on. I need to do my part.
Ah, yes. That's understandable.
The only other character from the Collective you'll meet is the Warden. He's like the one other dude that's awake, and he's more of like a repair dude. He's kind of like Will Smith in I Am Legend, you know, setting up all the mannequins and pretending like, oh, just doing what the humans did, and you're just kind of like, man, I guess you're just trying to understand what we're trying to save, I guess. You get a lot of that, like, robot melancholy, like, you know, we're not human, we're trying to save what humans are, but we don't even understand it. Our job is to save them, not admire them, you know. There's some actually fun conversations that come out of that.
Sometimes they just knock things off tables and workbenches, but I don't resent them for that.
Oh yeah, he's a cat dad, he loves cats. The cats are a big thing in this game. You find cats, that's a collectible, and they all go to this little kitty cat room.
Why is your fur so soft?
I love how much this game makes you actually wonder what the Collective's true goals are. I mean, they could really just be trying to save humanity, but actions speak louder than words, and the instructions put it one way, but you gotta wonder when you're walking around, you see all of these oppressive structures built by the Collective. Straight lines, cubes, simple shapes, man-made as heck, nothing but dark gray metal. It's like oppressively industrial. It's cool to look at, but it also invites the question, were they trying to replace the natural chaos with something overtly orderly kind of thing? And it's not just the questions the game makes you ask that are compelling, it's also the fact that we get to watch the characters butt heads over it too. Kind of like Lost, when like Jack and Locke don't agree on something and they're always arguing, and it just makes you think about the bigger picture around them. All wandering in your mind as you slowly navigate this drab, dreary, post-apocalyptic 1980s Poland. And with a cozy but creepy Christmas backdrop to boot. Looks like Blue Stinger ain't the only survival horror Christmas game now. So that's the flavor, that's the mood, that's the premise they're going for. It's kind of like Metroid Prime Isolation meets the derelict dilapidation of Silent Hill. You're marching through derelict buildings, you're fighting mutants and monsters, entering time rifts, and tracking down individuals the collective deems useful, and extracting the information out of their brain like a parasite. They call this the essence. You're grabbing their essence and putting it in your brain. I guess it's like their memories or stuff. Then you get that cutscene where you're basically arguing with the last remains of consciousness in that pool of memories.
All I need are answers, Gabriel.
Providing answers to you?
Like, imagine the T-1000 warps out of the future and just appears before you, looking like this. And it's asking you what the hell's going on. It's like, hey, do you know where this virus came from? Well, we don't know anything. It's like, what do you mean you don't know anything? What's happening? I just wish, like, the humans reacting was acted a little more goodly.
I wanted to protect her! At least her. To preserve one thing dear to me in this whole wide, fucked up world! Ah!
Yeah, some of them's not good. Some acting's fine. Veronica's totally fine. This guy I thought was totally fine. But Edvard, oh my god, I could not take him seriously. It's something about the mocap too, like there's not enough like clothes moving noises or something, or like the energy of the voice doesn't quite fit how much they're moving. Why does he flip you off in the middle of this sentence? It doesn't make it doesn't feel like he's acting the way a person would act. It feels like a man in a Muppet suit. I don't know. There's a handful more voices that are pretty terrible. Here's one of them early on. I don't know what the direction for this was.
Oh, do you know anything about my poor baby? About my poor angel? Will you bring her back to me? I'm so worried about her.
It is not safe outside.
Thank goodness the Traveler's voice actor is so good. She really carries the whole story, in my opinion. All right, now we get into my favorite part. The gameplay. It's your over-the-shoulder combat, survival horror, resource management stuff. It's all the stuff I love from modern horror games. It's not exactly the most original game. It's actually pretty unoriginal. It feels like every mechanic it borrows from another game. There's only like one or two things it's doing that's actually somewhat original, but it is a completely fresh arrangement of these things. It's like I recognize each one of these moves, but I've not had these moves all together like this before. Controls-wise, you can expect something that feels very similar to the Silent Hill 2 remake. You know, aiming and shooting and stuff, that all feels very familiar. Melee is very different though. You're kind of borrowing the Isaac Clarke stomp, the boot stomp. If you knock an enemy down, you want to try and do some extra damage before it gets back up, before tucking yourself away. That's a good way to do that. Also good for breaking anything at your feet, like boxes that you're trying to look through. That's an R2. R1 does your punch. Good for whacking boxes at a little higher, maybe on a shelf or something. And also whacking at dudes, of course. It's not a very strong thing though, but you can get those times where you sneak in a few of them and you even finish them off with one. You save like 2 bullets. That is totally possible, and I do that all the time. It's very satisfying. No dodge in this one. It's a little bit more like Resident Evil 2. You do got the sprint still in L3. It was nice that my Resident Evil remake muscle memory got to carry over, because it's the kind of sprint where you just mash L3 and it doesn't like keep turning it on and off, just mash it in a panic and you're running. The resource management definitely borrows a lot from Resident Evil 2 remake. It's very similar, it's on a grid, though items will always only take up 1 square instead of 2 sometimes. And you won't be rearranging it kind of just organizes itself. But you will be thinking about how much you're going to be carrying with you just the same. For example, like, hey, I can make a stack of 5 shotgun shells, so why would I bring 5 with me? That means when I pick up 2, if I find them out in the fray before I used some, well, now that takes up a whole nother square, so I like to keep like 2 or 3 with me, and then I try to use them. You're always thinking about that to try not and fill your inventory. Inventory haters might not like how little room the game gives you at the start. Like, you will actively have to be making decisions that's optimizing the space there, or you're gonna find yourself running all the way back to the storage box over and over. Especially considering how the game handles optional key items like the bolt cutters. I thought this was really cool. These will open goodie doors you find out there. Any bolt cutter door, there's gonna be some supplies behind there. You never need it though. So the question is, do you want to waste a whole slot so you just have it with you already? Or do you want to wait until you see one, run all the way back, and then get it? Now, while I love this sort of stuff, I love getting my brain gears chugging around how many squares I got in my pocket. I know not everybody does, and those people will be happy to know that you can do something to alleviate it a bit. When you're upgrading your suit with those cores you find laying around here and there, well, you can choose to upgrade how many resources you can carry, how much health you can have, or how many inventory slots you have. So if you want to kind of risk not having a lot more health later on because you kept slamming all those cores that you find into inventory expansion instead, well, you can kind of customize how you go about it, so you can at least do something about it. It reminds me of Evil Within, how I hated the sprint, but I just put like all of my points into sprint at the very beginning. Actually, the upgrade system's very similar to Evil Within's upgrade system, which is cool because I really liked that. I like being able to tweak little improvements to all of my guns, make myself have a little bit more health, make my healing do a little bit more. All of that's here. You feel like you're getting stronger, but in a personally tuned way that can make every playthrough feel a little different. Also kind of borrowing from Evil Within 2 is the very simple crafting. Though it's even simpler, there's only 2 types of resources. There's scrap metal and chemicals. You'll be grabbing a lot of these, and you can choose to turn it into healing items or bullets, or these explosive things that are really handy. I really liked it in Evil Within 2. I like it even more here because, again, it gives you just enough to think about. I love those moments where you're deciding like, okay, there's a bunch of scrap here, but I'm full on scrap. I can make something really quick. Oh, I'm half health. I'll just heal up real quick, and then I can pick up that scrap. And I didn't craft the heal earlier because then that would be picking up a space. You know, I'm always thinking so much about the inventory, but it's not so many elements to it that becomes overwhelming. It's just like simple, satisfying as hell inventory stuff. Now let's march into the coolest part, my favorite part, the weapons. And this is when the game's originality. This is probably the only thing about this game that feels a little original. Although on paper it really doesn't at first, because you got your basic pistol, shotgun, rifle, and like a burst rifle. Nothing new at all. But what makes it all feel new is the charge mechanic. You'll hold down the button, and then after a second, then it'll go off. You can pop off just regular shots, but they're really weak, so you're not going to be getting the most damage out of your bullets, which you have very finite of. This is a game where you have to make every shot count after all. So nah, you got to be doing charge shots all day, every day. Every shot's got to be a charge shot, unless you're blowing up like one of these things that die in one hit, or a barrel or something. That's when you're going to be not doing a charge shot. But if you're fighting enemies, you got to be landing charge shots, which means you're holding the button down a second before it goes off, and you get into this rhythm. Hold and then go, hold and then go. It gives you a little moment to whip the camera carefully in place. I don't know, something about this very simple delay. You know that Dark Souls, I know I bring up Dark Souls so much, I'm so sorry. You hit the R1 button, and then like a second later your sword's in front of you. That little bit of delay that just makes things so satisfying, because you're always seeing like half a second into the future. Skateboarding, always seeing what the next turn's gonna be, what the next weight I gotta shift my foot. You see it a little bit ahead of it, and that, if your game can do that, it's going to make me consistently have fun with it. I am always having fun with Cronos, even if it gets a little repetitive. I just called it Cronos. If I've been calling it Cronos this whole time, it's Cronos. It's Cronos. I'm putting the glasses on now because I'm smart and remembering stuff when I put them on. This is my powers. No, I just want to see a little better. Glasses. Okay, I wanted to do this one. The glasses.
Mode change.
I don't have a follow-up. I just wanted to put the soundbite in. Charging up the shotgun takes a lot longer, of course, so it's a little bit harder to line up the timing. But if you do get it, you can blast like a whole bunch of guys at once. This shotgun gets nuts. You can just mow down enemies with this. Mow down groups of enemies. Oh, Cronos the new dawn. Gonna mow the lawn. Burst rifles I'm not entirely all about. I usually like the more careful individual shots a lot more, but this was still pretty fun. Okay, the first one I didn't use a whole lot. I think it's just kind of rapid fire. I didn't really use it, but the second one you get like multiple versions of each one. The second one you charge and it does 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and that's a little bit closer to what I like from a gunplay in survival horror game. Switching weapons on the fly is super sick. They even get a loading screen hint where it's like, hey, remember, switching weapons is faster than reloading. I love the game, not just people. people in the right direction like that, because that's absolutely like one of the core strats in being good at these games. It's like I like these wall crawly guys. You shoot them once with a burst rifle, and then you shoot them once with a pistol. The rifle is like nuts though. That's like an end game weapon. It's basically a new game plus weapon. You're not really going to be using it much in your playthrough, but look at this thing. It like creates a singularity black hole and explodes. It destroys most mini bosses on hard mode in like 2 hits. What I love about this weapon is the ammo for it is so rare. You get like 4 bullets for it in the whole game. But like on New Game Plus, you can be using your cores, because after you use all the cores to upgrade your suit all the way, you're on New Game Plus, I don't need these anymore. You can use the cores to craft those bullets, or you can sell the cores to get a lot more points for the shop. It's got like the Dead Space shop in there too. The points that you can upgrade your weapons with, you can also buy like supplies and stuff. I never ever did this. I just always use the points on making my gun stronger, because I felt, I'm gonna get more out of it that way in the long run.
But yeah, imagine basically if Dead Space lets you use the nodes to also craft really good bullets. So like a New Game Plus 3, when you don't really have much to do with the nodes anymore, well, you can still get something out of them. I gotta give them credit where it's due. That's a pretty goddamn good idea.
So those are the guns, but like the tech stuff you also got, I mentioned some explosives. The fire stuff is real cool. So this is not the most original thing, but they're doing something original with it. So it's the body burning, and I miss body burning. Evil Within was like the last thing I played that did that. Oh, I know Signalis also did it. Evil Within's the coolest version of body burning. I love how you can use the carefully timed match drops to light other guys on fires too. It's not matches, it's not flares, you're not clicking on one guy and burning him. Instead, you have this torch, and you blast fire at the floor. It's like an AoE move, because your suit is fireproof. You're not gonna get damaged, so just blast the floor and burn what's around you. Really handy for stunning a bunch of guys when you're in some really chaotic scenario and there's so many guys around you. You just need them all to stop hitting you and be like, I'm on fire! It's a really good, I'm on fire move if you need them to stop hitting you. Of course, you can also use this to burn certain parts of the environment to unlock little pathways, sometimes mandatory, sometimes a nook or cranny with a little hidden object or just some supplies. But yeah, you can also burn bodies with it. Now, the reason for this is very interesting. Usually you want to burn a body so it stays down. They're zombies or they're mutants. They can get back up after you think they're dead, but in this game, you kill a guy, you know he's dead. He's not gonna get back up. It's because existing enemies will see a dead body and go, wow, flesh, and absorb it into them and become bigger and stronger. There's like multiple phases of the basic enemies. You got the ones with no head, and you're just gonna kill them with like one charged pistol shot. Then there's the ones that grew a head. It's like, okay, that one has a head. Is going to be a little bit more tough to get. Oh my god, I just realized that's how they convey that you don't need, this one's easy, hit it anywhere, doesn't have a head, don't go for a headshot. The ones with heads, you got to hit them in the head to kill them in a short amount of hits. That's actually really good game design.
Then you got guys with big spiky heads that got way longer arms and way more range.
You don't want these things to get bigger and stronger, because then you're going to be spending more bullets. So you can either burn bodies around them, or you can kind of just go up and take them out, because they do this animation. It's very obvious that they're going to do it, and they also just run up to it. That's one thing I think could be adjusted a little bit more, is making the absorption animation maybe a little faster, because I feel like it's just way too easy to stop them just by shooting them. But hey, it is still a really cool thing. It is an original idea for what to do with burning bodies. Though I'm not gonna lie, 99% of the time I'm using that fire to make them go, I'm on fire, because it's really useful. I mean, you get the mini bosses, you go on fire, you go with a shotgun, and that shit's so much fun. Oh, do not sleep on the pyres. These are launchable proximity explosives. You can launch it at the floor, and then you can wait for them to walk over to it, and it blows up, but I never did that. I just kept launching it at them, and then they blow up. Really good for crowd control. It's basically just, yeah, it's like a flamethrower, except you're putting it on something across the room. When you upgrade these, you make 2 at a time, so you can make a lot with any like scraps you're not using. And it wasn't until my second playthrough that I actually found myself using them. I opened the box, I was like, I have so many of these. I've not been using pyres. They're wicked. They're so much fun. Just fire it into a crowd and watch it explode. And then they're on fire, and then you're like picking off them as many as you can before the animation's up, and then they're coming at you again. You can also craft the flamethrower fuel, and if you upgrade that, you'll also craft 2 of those at a time. But if it's not the kind of thing you want to spend resources on, the save rooms will always give you 1 flame fuel for free if you don't have any. The pyres, though, you will have to craft or find. Oh right, I can't forget to mention this while I'm on the topic of merging and burning bodies and stuff. If you think the Dead Space sever their limbs shit, like written on the wall in blood, is the dumbest shit on planet Earth like I do, then you're gonna love this. Don't let them merge. Like this guy used so much more blood than the Dead Space guy. How much did this guy bleed?
How'd he get it up there? Did he have a fucking ladder? You know what I mean? Like, it almost feels like it's making fun of it. Like, this is ridiculous. Is this not ridiculous? Was it bleeding so hard? Like, just shooting it up on the wall like fucking Mario Sunshine? Like, how did this happen?
Oh, here's another thing that is also somewhat original. Now, I know shooting explosive barrels, all of these games have this, that's nothing new, but there's two types of barrels. There's the yellow ones. If you see a yellow one or like a yellowy orange one, you know you can punch that because that's not going to be an explosion. It's just going to be fire, and your suit's fireproof, so just punch it, and then it'll do the same thing as a flamethrower. But the ones that look like red explosive ass, like high pressure contents, do not do that because those things explode, and do way more damage. Now, this isn't even the original thing. What the original thing is the fact that you can repair these using a little like time reversal beam thing. Sometimes there'll be like a little black hole thingy, and if you're like, oh shit, I can repair that, so you can, it takes like a little bit of time. So like, yeah, there's a window where you have to make sure you're far enough away from the mini boss or the group of enemies to actually pull it off so you don't get hit doing it. But that's like a really cool little thing. It takes a second to do that you can work into, like, okay, that one's ready. Cool, it didn't get hit, and then you run around it, and then boom. I've not had a game make me do that before, not that I've played so far, so I think that's like a really fun, cool thing to throw in there. But yeah, I guess that's like the combat, gameplay, resource stuff. Obviously, you're exploring all these buildings, so yeah, there's off-beaten pathways, there's rooms that you can go into, little tucked-away corners. You're always smashing open crates, looking for supplies. You're looking, it's got the exploration, so yeah, gameplay, it's kind of really good. It's kind of wicked sick. Like, I've been playing this over and over, man. Like at first I thought the game was like a little bit too long and it dragged on a bit, and I felt that way about the Silent Hill 2 remake as well, but you get way better that like every playthrough feels shorter, and I'm on playthrough 3 now, and I am loving this thing. It is actually real fun if you like these modern over-the-shoulder survival horror games like Dead Space, Evil Within, Resident Evil remake, Silent Hill 2 remake. If you like any of those games, you're bound to mesh well with this gameplay. I guess the way I could put it, like, again, it feels like everything in this game you're doing you've probably done before if you played a lot of these games. So it doesn't quite feel like mom's home cooking, but it feels like when, you know, you're living on your own for a few years, and then you bring home to your apartment the recipe, you try to make your own version of it, and it's not quite as good, but all the ingredients are there, and I made a pretty damn fine chili. So, you know, not a 5-star restaurant, not like the most potent meal, but it's still a pretty damn good chili. Of course, you got your save rooms, very similar to the Resident Evil save rooms, where you got your save point, the little shop station that's similar to the one in Dead Space that I mentioned before, and also your item box, where you can store every single thing you got, whip it out, put it back. Save rooms are kind of like a non-canon thing. Like, you know, in Resident Evil 7, when I run away from Jack Baker, and I go in their laundry room, and there's like a cassette player in there, the same one that's in all these other rooms that Jack Baker conveniently doesn't go in. I'm not questioning why. I'm like, this is just the fourth wall. It's just the video gaminess. It's the video gaminess. It's the suspension of disbelief. That's fine. Cronos takes it a little bit further, though. They actually try to work the tangibility of these save rooms into the game's story. They're built by the collective. They serve the vocation. Is the vocation what I should have been calling the collective the whole time? I'm on playthrough 3. I'm not gonna lie, I don't read every note. I kind of skim them, and then it's like by playthrough 3, I'm skimming them a third time and actually paying attention, and then I'm getting the story, because that's kind of how I play. I know, I'm terrible. But these rooms were built by previous travelers to serve the collective, to serve the goal, the mission, whatever we're doing, left behind by those who came before for those who will come after. The moment I realized that these objects in these save rooms exist to characters other than me was in this one here. You walk up and you see a hacksaw. Yeah, it's like, oh my god, somebody tried to get into this. That little moment was just so unbelievably cool to me. It was just one little detail, just a simple text box beside an object, beside some scratches you don't normally see on it. And that just made the whole world feel so much bigger. It felt lived in. Felt like there's people actually out there responding to all these things that I'm dealing with now in the aftermath. I like the save points kind of look like an Xbox Series X. Then it unfolds. It's all this like retro future tech stuff that was definitely inspired by like the original Alien, the movie. But it does have its own unique flavor. I thought it looked kind of boring at first. The first time I walked into these save rooms, I'm like, this is kind of boring. But it did grow on me. The little like the little noise that the save points make. All this stuff sounds cool, man. Like, listen to this. There's something really cozy about all this to me. Eerie, but cozy. You know, I like eerie, cozy games. I'm gonna get into that in a second, but I like the soundscape. I like the look to it. I like the save rooms in this game a lot. Let's get into the presentation, environments and stuff. It's very similar to Silent Hill 2 Remake in its presentation, but it does carry a very distinct flavor of its own. You know, it's got the fog, the desolate, crumbling streets, but the sci-fi elements and the Polish setting help make it feel very different. The fog doesn't look like Silent Hill fog, and you may be going through very similar locations, abandoned apartment buildings, and even a hospital, but when you look at the machinery, when you look at the appliances, when you look at the toys on shelves, it all feels very distinct. But there is still a lot of similarity, like you can tell it was made by the same people. You know, you got the thick white drapes and blankets over all the steel pipes, very industrial, though it's way more industrial than Silent Hill. You know, Silent Hill 2 Remake, it gets industrial when you go to the other world, but this game you're actually going through like factories and plants and stuff, I think I mentioned earlier. One of the later game areas is a huge church, and the one thing that's cool about all these locations, it's not just the area, it's the area under the context of, oh, there was a viral outbreak, so you're finding quarantine zones, you're finding areas that are completely engulfed in the biomass. You'll find areas with all these tents put up. So, you know, obviously this was developed alongside Silent Hill 2 Remake, not dissimilar to how Capcom does all the new Resident Evil games. So you can expect to see a number of familiar resources, and I kind of like to make a game out of it. Some people get so mean about it. They're like, wow, lazy devs reusing things efficiently. It's like, you don't know how games are made. Don't act like you do. To me, it's just kind of cute. It's like when you're playing Resident Evil 2 Remake and you see the same plush alligator that you saw in Resident Evil 7. I'm like, oh, that's the Crocagator guy. Oh, he's not busted up this time. They tweaked the model a little bit. I don't know. I like stuff like that. It's like when you see, or not see, you hear a familiar sound effect, like stock sounds that have been around forever, and you're watching a movie or a TV show, or you're playing something, and then that's the tail bounce sound from Gex, or that's one of the door sounds from Silent Hill 3. It's just fun. I love that stuff. So me and my wife kind of like to make a game out of it. We're looking at individual like models and like little pieces of machinery and pipes and drapes, and we're trying to think like, did we see this exact model in Silent Hill 2 Remake? It looks similar. Maybe it's the same one. You know, it's just fun to like kind of look out for. But if anything, that really just means that, yeah, it is also being done by people that are really good at making derelict environments. And yeah, they're walking around all these abandoned buildings, whether it's an apartment or a factory or even a church. So you get like a lot of stone imagery when you're going underground into the mausoleum and you see all of the sarcophaguses or coffins, James. Not sarcophagus, you know what I mean. It's cool seeing something a little bit beyond just like, oh, you know, the wallpaper's peeling off. You got the green wall of they got like the facility walls from GoldenEye where it's just like green painted halfway up. I love that for some reason. Oh, and then you got those wispy areas outdoors where it's like, oh yeah, this has been dead wasteland for a number of years now. Sometimes it looks like the surface of Mars. I really misjudged this game thinking it was going to be like Dead Space. Like I was just fixating on like the biomass stuff, like the necromorph stuff, like the enemies and like virus and stuff is similar, but the actual setting is not in space at all. It's on Earth. It's just post-apocalyptic. It's cool. I really like the environments a lot. Okay, this is what I was talking about, like cozy spots. I love spots where you can't go to it, but they hint at something that goes beyond it, whether you're peering around this pipe with the drapes. I can't go back there, but every time I walk by this, every playthrough, I just got here my third playthrough, it's like, ooh, what's back there? I don't know. Cozy. It's like when you play Ocarina of Time. There's these spaces that exist just to get across this idea that there are things outside of where Link can go, just to make the world feel like something. And I don't know, like when you come down here and you look and there's like a shark back there. It's like, oh, I can't go in that space. This game does that a number of times, and I don't know why, but I love this so freaking much. I love walking down the hallway. I see it's gated off, and I can just peer into the darkness, and I just get the wonder. I'm like, I wonder what's back there. Oh no, I gotta share this one part. Wow, listen to the car horn honking in the distance. All the snow and everything. Oh, look at the lights, man. I had to just sit down and enjoy being here for a moment. This is nice. Good job, Bloober Team, actually. Good job on your environments. That's what you're best at, and you're bringing it. You're bringing it to Cronos. Let's talk about puzzles. It doesn't really have a whole lot for puzzles. Don't expect like riddles and stuff from Silent Hill 2 Remake. Don't really expect all that many like mechanisms or like bringing a funny key to a thing like Resident Evil games have. There's like maybe one or two parts like that, or you gotta put like, oh, the golden sword here, and this is like a really easy puzzle poem where you're matching the pictures. No, anyone can do this. It's more about actually collecting some keys rather than it is like making a puzzle out of the keys. There's like this time warpy stuff, like the same thing with the barrels, except it'll be just like, I don't know, you just shoot the switch, look for this in the environment, and then like something will move around, and then you can go, and then you hit it again, and it goes away. It's really self-explanatory. I guess the set piece is kind of cool. It's cool to explore, like, yeah, we're a time traveler doing time warpy stuff, but it's like point and click on the thing every time. There's never really much thinking to it. There's one cool part where they hide a secret if you think to hit it again on the other side, and I guess there's one part where you're wrapping around a corner, and if you keep hitting it a few more times, you can... Sometimes there's some tucked away areas where you can get some goodies that's a little less obvious, and I did like that, but for the most part, it's pretty basic. No one's gonna be scratching their head at this. Later on, you get these little Tesla coils, and you have to, like, guide a piece of electricity from a generator to another one. Again, very simple, but there's at least something to it. I like this one towards the end where you have to figure out how to make it wrap around the ceiling and stuff. That was actually pretty cool. So yeah, it's not really puzzles as much as there's just gizmos and interactables just to give you something a little different than just shooting guys, just for the pace sake, I guess, just to give you a little break now and then. The gravity walks are also a good example of that. These are kind of cool. It reminds me a lot of the gravity walk segments in the original Dead Space. Now, they changed it in the remake, so I'm talking about the original where you were walking and diving. You're walking up walls and you aim at a thingy and you click on it and you go over to it. Again, you just kind of do the obvious thing, but, you know, it's a break from shooting guys, you get some cool visuals. It's the loop in Sonic. Though I do think some of these gravity sections go on, like, it's like, I get to a point, I'm like, wait, I'm still doing this? I really thought I would have landed by now. Sometimes these sections go on a little bit too long. Other stuff like that, you know, as you pushing a bookcase around, the generic AAA, like, squeezing through corners. It's not as bad as Silent Hill 2 Remake. I got really sick of pushing things and climbing over it. It didn't really feel like it was adding much, if anything. Now, in Cronos, it does actually sort of add something. For starters, you're unlocking shortcuts. That's a nice thing right there. But more importantly, it serves as an obstacle that takes a moment to move. And this is neat because in a combat scenario, well, now you have the option to dodge your way around the enemies and try to get out without fighting everybody. If you get enough distance, you can squeeze right through, as long as you have enough time to complete the animation. I also don't mind all the stuff in this game because it doesn't take as long here. It's not wasting so much time. In 2 Remake, it felt like this constant break in the pacing that make me all like, oh, I gotta do this again. Here, it's just like a slight little thing, so it comes more across as like, yeah, I'm in an abandoned building. Of course, there's gonna be some junk in the way. Let me just scrap through it. All of the wooden planks boarding up doors that you break are another great example of this, because it's like, what is this really adding to the gameplay? You hit a button and then you go through, but it's adding to the sense of adventure, of exploring a place well run down and long abandoned. The difference is now they're doing it in a way that feels a lot less interruptive. Well, I guess I do like this stuff. It's just I don't like it when it feels like it's slowing down the pace, like the glass smashing in 2 Remake. That's when it was doing it good. You don't got glass smashing here, which I do miss, but the board breaking does open up some opportunities to find secrets, like you peer in through a crack in the wall and shoot the boards on the other side and unlock like a goodie room. I appreciate when games do that, you know, it makes the super graphics feel less for the sake of graphics and more like detail for the sake of getting you to look around and think about stuff and notice things. Alright, let's get into my criticisms. I've already said some obvious ones like the acting. One problem I had sometimes is I would get really lost. I'd be looking for like the last thing to do, the last of 3 things, and I'm going in circles and it just feels like I keep looping around and I'm like missing one entrance or something. It's the super graphics. It makes everything look so similar sometimes. Hallways can look really similar. All those fleshy mass areas all just blur together completely. It's not a rampant problem that's in the whole game, but in the hospital and the church, on every playthrough I get really lost and annoyed at a point. There is an objective marker, but it only does so much. It's not super duper helpful. At least it's not the thing from Dead Space, though. Like, I didn't like that thing just straight up told you exactly where to walk, and I don't know. At least it's not doing that, I guess. Also wasn't a fan of the jump scares. Just a warning, there's some mild jump scares, or like the digital memories in your brain goes like, whoosh, and like a full screen blink, and it's not like super loud, but it is still annoying. Now, here's something that drives me nuts. Why can't I organize the storage box box. In Resident Evil, you just hit a button and it all goes in order, but here it's like all over the place and I can't, like, why is there no button to organize this? I know I talked about it already, but yeah, like the time warp puzzles are so nothing. You click on something and that's the whole puzzle. Definitely could have done something more with this. Think about how Dead Space, you're grabbing and dragging stuff around in the environment. The interactivity in Dead Space was very, very cool. Maybe if they make a Cronos 2, look in that direction on how to make this stuff more interesting. Probably the biggest criticism I have of this game, though, is there's not enough enemy types. So I talked about the ones that are like your standard enemies, and then they have a couple of phases to them. There's also guys that spit acid. There's like the little guys that crawl at you and they blow up. And you got your wall crawly guys, which they're really fun. I think giving you a reason to aim up and look in a spot you aren't normally looking, and then you get tall environments and it just adds some verticality to the gameplay. I like that a lot. Oh, especially the gravity sections, like when you hit them and then they fall like sideways because of the perspective. That's always super fun. But that's like all they got. I guess I got these wall guys, and these wall guys are kind of like security camera turrets just made out of like conjoined twins or something. So you're always like peering around each corner when you see these fleshy areas and you hear the specific zombie noises. Oh yeah, you hear those clicks, you know these guys are around the corner, so you're going through very careful, and that is really fun to do. The first like 3 times, and then you're doing it again and again, and you kind of go, I get it. You think they would do like 1 or 2 more things with these wall guys. I mean, sometimes they put them a little higher, or they rearrange stuff, and they are really good at rearranging these enemies in a lot of fun ways, but the game does start to feel like it drags at certain points because it feels like I already did this a bunch of times. It is fun. I'm still having fun, but I don't think the game needed to do it this many times, you know what I mean? So that's really the biggest thing. I think some people might find the game to get pretty repetitive by the second half, and the biggest reason is, yeah, there's not really a lot of enemy types in this thing. I think there could be like 3 or 4 more enemy types. What they have is really fun, and the gameplay, thankfully, is just so engaging that I still don't get bored of it, but like, I'm a hyper fan of these types of games. I don't know if everyone's gonna feel the same way, right? So that's something that could be improved. I think there could be more enemy types, and there could be more mini bosses. There's really just the 2. You fight them both twice. All 4 fights are really fun and good, but it's like, I'm thinking of like Evil Within, and there was so many boss fights, and they all felt so different, and you refought like 1 or 2 of them twice, and they made them feel really different scenarios, and it's like, okay, yeah, you can do this way better. I think this game could have way more mini bosses. I guess there's kind of a 3rd one, but they're really just sort of mixing the 2 existing ones together. As for like bosses go, they're really good. There's like, I think there's like 2 major boss fights. They're both towards the end, so I'm not going to show them here, but they're really good. The one in the church reminded me of like the Silent Hill 3 final boss, where you get this like big tall thing in the middle and you're kind of going on the sides, and then it's also kind of like Lost Planet. Is that what that game is called? A Capcom game on Xbox 360, Lost Planet, where you're shooting all the big orange weak points for massive damage kind of thing, but then you also got all these enemies coming at you, and then like this pool starts filling up with acid, and then you're trying to like do the time thingies, the wormholes that like, again, it's obvious what to do, but it's the fact that it's like, oh, it keeps throwing another element at you. It's like the Banjo-Kazooie final boss fight where you're using like everything in your arsenal. Oh, they should have had a boss fight where you have to do the zip zap tether thing in the middle of it. Use everything. Give me the Banjo-Kazooie grunty final boss where you actually got to use everything you got. But they kind of come close to that. It was kind of like that, but like an RE2 or RE4 remake boss. It was a really good boss fight, and I like the final boss a lot too. I actually really like the final boss. I was trying to criticize this game, and I just kind of get back into talking about I like it. I really like this game, man. I really, really do like it. I think I like it more than the Silent Hill 2 remake, and maybe it's because I don't have to be bitter about it. Because I mean, I do like the Silent Hill 2 remake, but you know, I do have a lot of things I don't like about that game. I don't really like how some of the characters were handled. I don't like Maria at all. I think her acting is, I don't know. I could get into it. I already talked about this in the video last year. So being an original thing, it doesn't really have that same thing to live up to. So it's way easier to forgive the parts of the story that seem stupid, because beyond the stupidness is like, I see something that's actually really cool. Yeah, again, it reminds me of Evil Within. You look past the stupid parts and you get like, you kind of absorb all the information after like 3 playthroughs. It's like, oh, whoa, they actually got across something kind of cool. It's definitely better than Evil Within's story. It's a little bit smarter than that. But it's, you know, I had a similar experience with it, I guess, overall, Cronos, than I did Evil Within. Didn't expect much from it, gave it a shot. Surprisingly, really liked it in spite of, you know, the mixed reception I kept seeing from people, and I'm really glad. I'm really glad I decided to give this game a shot, man.
I do still think I like Evil Within more overall, though. I'm very biased on that one. That game's kind of got a special little soft, fuzzy spot in my heart. But now it doesn't quite hold a candle to any of the new Resident Evil games. Dead Space, on the other hand, ooh, does it rival Dead Space? No, I do think Dead Space is still better. I do think Dead Space just has a lot more going on for it, but if there's one thing I do think is better than Dead Space, I hate that in Dead Space you can't skip any of the talking.
So it's like, it's a really replayable game. You want to replay these games, especially with New Game Plus, where you want to go through a bunch of times and upgrade all your weapons. You can do that in this one too. But it's like, you gotta wait for everyone to shut up. They literally lock the door and wait for you to stop talking to this hologram thing. And in the remake, Isaac talks too, so the conversations are even longer, and it's great the first playthrough, not every other playthrough. Now, this game still has cutscenes you cannot skip, but most of them you can. So there are parts where it's like, I gotta sit through me listening to Edvard yell at me again, and it's just because you can make some choices. The choices don't matter, though. I do agree choices can add flavor to storytelling. Like, am I playing a version of this character that's way colder, or am I going to see how the humans respond to me when I'm warmer? And you can do that, and it's just, I don't know, something to do, but I would absolutely toss it out if it meant I could just skip these cutscenes on my subsequent playthroughs. Oh, endings. Let's talk about endings. Not gonna say them, but there are 3 endings. The stuff they do with the essences, where you can like extract different memories from different things, and you can end the game with like 3 different people in you depending on who you picked up, and they bring you different like power-ups, like, oh, this guy, your punch does more. I didn't even bring this up, but anyway, you could have easily based the endings off of that and done some cool like, oh yeah, depending on what you did, this happened. But it's just, you literally pick an ending. It's like Deus Ex Human Revolution. You click one of 2 text menu items, you just pick what ending you want, and then on New Game Plus there's just a 3rd option. So that's how you get the 3 endings. It's like the laziest way to get the endings. I just reloaded my save, did the boss again, just picked the other option. I wish that like I had to do 3 whole playthroughs where I considered something different, like with Silent Hill 2. I don't know. They just did that with the 2 remake, and it feels weird that it just feels lazy, man. I guess that's another big criticism I have of this thing. I do like the endings themselves, though. I think the first 2 is just kind of like, yeah, these are the 2 dominating perspectives here. They want something very different. We try them both, and we realize they're both a bad idea. And the 3rd option still leaves you with a lot of uncertainty, but there's a glimmer of hope. Reminds me kind of like the ending of Scorn. I know a lot of people didn't like the ending of Scorn, but I love the ending of Scorn, because just because you didn't make it, you saw that something else does in fact exist. And the fact that hell isn't the only thing, that confirmation, that tiny little hope in such a horrible place, I thought that was the point of the ending, and I like that a lot. I think Scorn's ending is super underloved. Oh my god, dude, you wouldn't believe what happened when I beat the game. A pop-up came up and it said, you just unlocked the costume. I was like, what? You just gave me a costume for playing the game? Like modern survival horror games, you have to pay for them all. Little Nightmares 3 was so bad for that. Silent Hill 2 remake, Silent Hill F, all the new Resident Evil games, like you gotta pay for all these freaking costumes. It's like, come on. I miss when you unlocked them. In Cronos, you unlocked them. Now, there is like a code. It did come with a code, and I typed in the code, and I got this bloody skin. It's like, Amoeba bloody. I think Xbox version has different ones that look like just like a green and blue recolors of it. But they added this really goofy jack-o'-lantern skin for Halloween in a free update, so you can get a goofy costume. The costume you unlock is kind of like a more like formal spacesuit looking, I don't even know what to call it. I like it a lot. It's cool. I played my 2nd playthrough with this one, and then I beat it. New Game Plus. I was doing hard mode. And then I unlocked another one. It goes, congrats for beating hard mode. Here's this skin. Look at this. This is cool. I don't know the last time I unlocked a cool skin for like beating the game another time. But yeah, it's funny because the last horror game this same company made you pay for the costume, so that was definitely like Konami, you know, like IP power. It's like, Cronos, we're trying to get people to play this original game, so they're probably not like, I don't know, you know how it is. But I'm happy. It's really cool to see that you can actually unlock some costumes, and yeah, the one for beating hard mode is actually a cool costume. That made me very happy. I like my horror costumes. I also like my dumb shit in horror games. I like the stupid conversations they have about the cats. That's great.
They just crave a little attention, like we all do.
And yet they pretend to be so unavailable.
It's just a grand game of appearances. You have to know how to win them over.
Yeah, I guess that wraps up my thoughts on Cronos: The New Dawn. I was really surprised by it. I expected it to be kind of like whatever, but you know, Bloober said that they're moving from psychological horror games to mass market horror games, and I remember that news coming out when the 2 remake wasn't out yet, and people were like, what does that mean? I think it just means that they're doing games like Resident Evil remakes where it's more actiony, and they made 2 fun ones, you know? It's maybe you don't agree the story was handled super great in the 2 remake or this and that, whatever, but you gotta admit, like, that game's pretty fun to play, and so is this one. So I'm cool with Bloober doing more mass market horror games. I think that's what the Silent Hill 1 remake's gonna be, and I'm looking forward to playing that too, of course. I guess long story short, if you like modern Resident Evil games, over the shoulder ones like RE2 remake, RE4 remake, you'll definitely like this. You'll at least like it, and some of you out there, if you click with the story and give it a chance despite some wobbliness here and there, not being so great with the acting, you might even find something that you really, really like and remember for a very long time. If you want to play Cronos, it is on PS5, Xbox Series X, it's on Switch 2, though again, Switch 2 version doesn't run super duper great. And obviously it's on the computer. I don't know how the computer version runs. Y'all can figure it out. You're smarter than me. I'm the GameCube man. I'm gonna be the GabeCube man when that comes out. Probably not, it's gonna be like $2,000, I don't know. It's cool to see Bloober actually making stuff I like. I hated everything they made before. I just thought they were like, gameplay was boring and the story was just like not well written at all, you know, like in Medium and shit like that, but I don't know. I'm not just going to give them a free pass from now on. Obviously, I'm going to still go into each thing they make with, like, yeah, a critical lens and looking for, like, what could be better here. Again, there's still a lot of things that could be better about this. It's not a perfect game. But I'm really happy with what they ended up scraping together, especially because they co-developed it alongside another game. But it's easy to see how that worked together with them being pretty similar. Yeah, that's all I got to say about Cronos. Surprisingly fun. I like it a lot. Goodbye.
Well, look at you. You got all the way to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching the whole thing. Hey, if you like what I do and you would like to support the channel, I have a $1 podcast over on patreon.com. I'm talking about Metroid Prime 4 on it soon. Got a lot of critique for that game, but I do really like it a lot too.
Samus Aran, green eggs and ham.
Bam!